Good evening and welcome to the voters, both here and watching from home. We are here to learn about the Muskego, Norway school board candidates. We are meeting tonight in the council chambers at Muskego City Hall. We wish to express a heartfelt thanks to the City of Muskego staff for helping to arrange tonight's event. This public forum is not a debate. It is a voter education opportunity. I am Kristen Listman of the Muskego Women's Club. Would the other members of our club who are in attendance this evening please stand up to be recognized at this time? We are honored to serve as moderators and timekeepers for what promises to be a very informative evening. Expectations for tonight's discussion are as follows. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening comments. There will be 8 questions. Each candidate will be asked the same question and be told how much time is available to respond. Please look at the timer. Please look at the timer occasionally to gauge your response. Terry Hudzak and Elfrida will display the time remaining on a countdown timer during any comment or response. When the timer alarm sounds, you will be required to stop. We do not wish to silence any of you. We wish to provide a balanced forum, and we have much to cover in our short time together. If you have any more to say on a particular topic, you may wish to address that via your chosen campaign media or in your closing comments. Please do not begin your reply until you are asked by name to begin. We will rotate who will reply first to the question and proceed through all candidates. If you need the question repeated, please ask. It will not count against your time. After the minutes are finished, after the questions are finished, each candidate will have 2 minutes for closing comments. As this forum is not a debate, we ask candidates to refrain from crosstalk among each other. Out of respect for the voters listening, interruptions are not allowed. The same applies to members of our live audience. Tonight is designed to educate voters on issues that are of high importance for a prospective school board member. It is not intended to address all views, values, or opinions among the candidates. If any member of our audience here tonight has a question for one of our candidates, please write it down on the paper provided and we will collect them. I will pose your questions to the candidates, time permitting, before the closing comments. We will likely only have time to address 2 to 3 questions, as each candidate will be given equitable time to respond. Thank you for your understanding as we proceed with professional decorum this evening. As a reminder, please silence your cell phones now. These candidates are vying for 2 at-large seats on the school board. Once elected, each member serves a 3-year term beginning April 28th. To our voters, did you know that Wisconsin has 421 school districts with nearly 2,800 school board members whose decisions affect more than 800,000 children enrolled in our public schools? Those are some impressive numbers. Their job is to make the policy decisions that will provide all of their students with the best possible education, to hire, supervise, and evaluate the superintendent. There are numerous state and federal laws that must be observed, and many of them need community decision makers to fine-tune the requirements to fulfill the spirit of the law, as well as the letter for each district. Working with superintendents, administrators, and teachers, school board members go about building effective educational systems to benefit their students and their communities. School board members are involved in the full decision-making process. Working with other members of the board, they have the responsibility of approving policy for administration and staff to follow, evaluating the superintendent, setting annual budgets, and advocating for their students and their district. Now, without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce them to you now. Running for re-election is our incumbent school board member, Dr. Lori B. Contney, or Lori, Ms. Patty Morales, or Patty, and last but not least, Mr. Christopher Zaliga, or Chris. All of tonight's candidates are comfortable with proceeding on a first-name basis. Do any of the candidates have questions before we begin? All right. Timer is ready. Lori, we'll start with you. Please take up to 2 minutes to introduce yourself to our voters this evening.
All right, well, I want to thank the Muskego Women's Club Mayor Rick for hosting this candidate forum at City Hall, to my fellow candidates, and to all of you out there watching. My name is Lori Contney. I'm running for re-election to the Muskego Norway School Board, and it's been an honor and privilege to have served my community on this board for the past 3 years. It's been 3 years of learning, growing, advocating, and I'd love to continue to serve. Nelson Mandela said, "Educating our children must be one of our most urgent priorities." We all know that education, more than anything else, improves our chances of building better lives. I'm running for re-election because I am passionate about providing a quality education to each child according to their abilities so that we can build a better life for them. I believe that personal health and well-being, along with success in life, stems from a strong foundational education, which must be our priority. I have a personal and special interest in special education, and I want to continue to advocate for processes that emphasize and optimize education and communication for our children and for our parents who work so hard to balance the needs of life and a child with special needs. I've demonstrated my ability to lead, to coordinate, and to communicate as a current board member, treasurer, and chair of the Educational Services Committee, and I will continue to advocate for parental rights, transparency, and I will use my expertise in curriculum and assessment to assure that we utilize best practices in education and have the resources needed to reach our district vision and goals. I will prioritize our work with a lens of fiscal responsibility to you, the taxpayers. I want our school to be the district of choice in Wisconsin, not for the accolades, but because we are actually achieving our vision of every student learning, growing, succeeding. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Patty, please take up to 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Thank you again to the Muskego Women's Club for hosting this event. I am running for Muskego Norway School Board as a parent, educator, and community member committed to student success. As many know, I have dedicated my career to education. For over 18 years, I've worked in classrooms and beyond, including as the secretary of the Wisconsin Education Technology Leaders. I've been helping students and teachers think critically and engaging in meaningful learning experiences. As an instructional technology coordinator, I've seen firsthand how innovative approaches can empower students and how strong leadership can shape the future of our schools. I've spent my career ensuring that every child, regardless of their background, has the tools, resources, and opportunities they need to succeed. That's exactly why I'm running for school board. Our schools face challenges, but I believe we can meet them with smart, student-centered leadership. My campaign has been focused on 3 key priorities. First, preserving fiscal responsibility and good stewardship of resources. A strong school system requires strategic budgeting. I've managed technology initiatives, coordinated major programs, and worked to ensure resources are used wisely. On the school board, I will advocate for responsible spending that prioritizes students while keeping our schools financially stable for the long term. Second, maintaining academic excellence and ensuring career and college readiness. Our students deserve rigorous, engaging, and forward-thinking education. With my experience leading curriculum development and supporting innovative teaching, I will push for strong academic programs that prepare students for success, whether that's college, a career, or service to their communities. Finally, ensuring our schools provide a supportive, innovative, and comprehensive learning environment. Every student deserves to feel seen, valued, and challenged. I believe in fostering learning spaces that encourage curiosity, creativity, critical thinking, and character. That means supporting teachers, embracing new learning methods, and making sure all students, no matter their needs, have access to a high-quality education. I believe that my experience, my passion for education, and my deep commitment to students and families make me the right choice for our school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Chris, please take up to 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Will do. Good evening, everybody, and thank you to Mayor Rick, the Muskego Women's Club, Mrs. Leonard for moderating this, and to my fellow candidates over there. It's been one heck of a ride throughout this entire process. My name is Chris Saliga. I'm proud to run for Muskego Norway School District. I've been a member of this community for more than 10 years, buying my house right across the street from the high school. I have 2 boys, Colton and Caden, who are 8 and 6. And I am also a proud uncle of Michaela and Avery Burback, who are also part of the school district. I am deeply invested in our community and the school in large. I have over 12 years of higher ed educational experience. I currently serve as a director of external relations and community engagement at Carthage College, as well as I'm a professor, an adjunct professor, I should say, for the School of Business and Economics, as well as Student Services. So I believe I have the background to give firsthand insight of how education currently is shaping up in revolving opportunities. And I'm committed to bringing that experience to our local community schools and providing a strong foundation for every student moving forward. Besides my professional work, I am actively a member of my community, where I've coached boys baseball and football teams for the Muskego Athletic Association, volunteered with the Cub Scouts, and all those things, I believe, make strong schools, build stronger communities, and I'll be an advocate for academic excellence, fiscal responsibility, and transparency with parents, and supporting all teachers. I am running because I want to ensure that the Muskego Norway School District is not only the best in Waukesha, in the district of Waukesha, the best in southeastern Wisconsin, and eventually the state of Wisconsin.
Thank you, Chris. We'll begin with our first question. This question will allow for a 2-minute response. At the Wisconsin State Education Convention this past January, a keynote speaker began his speech by calling everyone in the audience a hero. He said, quote, "Taking care of children makes you a hero. However, being a hero can be exhausting. The why factor is so important." Will you share with our community tonight your why factor? Why are you passionate about public education? Patty.
I think the best thing that I can say about being passionate about public education is I spent the first 11 years of my career in the classroom. The last 8, I've been running an instructional technology department and continuing to spend time on the ground with students and teachers. And so when I look at schools, when I look at private schools, charter schools, voucher schools, and public schools, I look at our students. I look at, are they succeeding? Are they getting what they need? Are things equitable? And so as a parent, I really believe that every student receives a high quality, well-rounded education. It's super important that we nurture academic achievement, cultural identity, and personal growth. I believe also that we need to prepare our students for a future that we don't know yet. I am a proponent of having our students understand artificial intelligence and machine learning to truly have a grasp of what those programs are, how they are trained, how to understand the ethical and moral use of artificial intelligence, because that's going to be something that's not going to go away. And I think we have a really great opportunity here to train our students on how to use that without losing productive struggle, which is, I think, a really great piece. How do we make sure our students are equipped to understand how to use the technologies of the future so that they can compete in the workforce without them losing the ability to have those soft skills, the human interactions, how to utilize tools without losing that opportunity to be able to do the work on their own and be able to communicate. I think my why also revolves around my 3 children. My oldest son had special needs. He had an IEP in school and was something that I had to advocate for. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was looking at her thing. Sorry.
My apologies to the audience and to the other candidates. We had a timer malfunction.
No, you're good.
We will rectify that. How long did she have total? And I will make sure the other candidates have that same exact time.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Thank you. And is that equitable to my fellow candidates? Are we all comfortable with that?
I totally believe she had 2 minutes. So that you have plan A, plan B. I mean, I'm waiting for plan C to roll around somewhere.
Thank you so much, Patty. Does anyone want the question repeated before we go to Chris?
Actually, I would like it repeated if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. The question is, at the Wisconsin State Convention this past January, a keynote speaker began his speech by calling everyone in the audience a hero. He said, "Taking care of children makes you a hero. However, being a hero can be exhausting. The why factor is so important." Will you share with our community tonight your why factor? Why are you passionate about public education?
Go ahead. When I think of public education, it's completely different from where it's been 20 years ago. I grew up in Milwaukee before moving here, and I can tell you right now, because of my passion for education, my passion and beliefs, and the rigorous opportunities that I've had, I feel like I can better serve the community by being part of that. I don't think we can honestly say that we're all heroes in that vein, because taking care of our children has always been a top priority ever since my son was born on July 1st and January 5th. I want to provide them the best opportunities, and I know for a fact that with our public school educations, we can provide that. We, as a school district, we do an amazing job in creating an environment of modernization of learning, showing creativity, and maintaining certain facilities to modernize it. So with those modernized things and passions, it's hard to not be excited about the opportunity. I've been in the classroom now for 3 years at Carthage, 4 years at Herzing University. I love going into a classroom teaching about so many random things. Part of my role is teaching kids how to write proper resumes, cover letters, and everything else that gives them the soft skills that they need. Some of it is interview skills that they didn't even know they could do on a regular basis, and learning about soft skills that were important to them, that has landed them positions at a Uline or Haribo down in Kenosha, or even for that, we've had 5 Carthage graduates from Muskego start working at Inpro. So those passion and understandings have made me realize that this is where I want to be right now.
Thank you. Lori.
So many things come to mind when I think about my why. But the first thing that popped in my head is I had been teaching in a doctor of physical therapy program for 30 years, and I was continuing to see a decline in both just resilience, grit, mental health, but also just basic educational foundational abilities to write, to defend, that all concerned me. It was interesting because whenever I'd have a student in my program from Muskego, they were always strong. And I was very involved at the national, state level in education for my professional organization, and I just felt a calling. I felt like I needed to come back to my roots. I needed to come back where maybe I could make a difference because of my passion for education. And the last 3 years have been amazing because we have an amazing district. There are always places and room for improvement, but we're very fortunate in the amazingly dedicated administrators, teachers, staff, our SROs, I mean, just everybody within the district. So right now, I guess my why is to continue to keep us strong, to continue to make sure that our teachers have the resources they need to do their work. They are heroes. Again, I said I have a passion for special education. I have 3 siblings with special needs, and my parents were heroes. I mean, I don't know how they were able to accomplish, all 3 of them being able to live on their own, support themselves without having had anything regarding special education when they were in school. So I've been blessed to have been inspired by so many people that I would call heroes. And now I just want to do my best to make sure everybody that is sitting over in our schools have everything they need to raise our children, not to raise them, but to educate our children to be successful in their lives. So that's my why.
Thank you, Lori. Question 2. The Wisconsin Association of School Boards describes the qualities of a school board member. A quality one should possess is, quote, a vision and an ability to understand changes in our society. Describe a change in our society that you have observed and your vision or ability to respond to this change as a school board member. Chris.
Thanks for the tough one. More and more children are being diagnosed with certain disabilities than ever before. Those disabilities range from dyslexia to dysgraphia to social anxiety, just to name a few. They weren't diagnosed years ago, and those are things that I'm very passionate about as well, because my son was recently diagnosed with those things. And I'm starting to realize that one of the things our school district does really well is accommodations, to emphasize modern learning on a regular basis and thriving for every children to be there. I believe more and more children are going to be diagnosed, so we're going to have to take a very good hard look at certain policies in that regard, to where we'll be actually able to clarify and help provide professional development for teachers that are going to definitely need it in the near future. I also believe, too, that because of that, our creativity in our children is going to expand, and it's going to be amazing to say the least. So my response is to let them run wild a little bit. Let them explore, obviously in a manner that's going to be maintained, by the teacher and understanding discipline with that. But those things are going to be there because we're going to find future entrepreneurs. We're going to find future construction workers, building maintenance architects, you name it. So let's expand those horizons and show the creativity and really show what we can do as leaders and teachers.
Thank you, Chris. Lori.
I guess one of the things that I'm going to go back to what I had talked about in the last response is I have I hate to be it on the negative side, but I have a huge concern for the increase in mental health problems that our youth, adults, and all throughout the lifespan are experiencing now as compared to what I think about when we were kids. And I think it's so multifaceted that there's not one thing that you can say, here's what's causing it. I go back and I think about technology and social media, and I think the more I've seen the use of technology and social media, the more mental health and anxiety and a lot of other issues that we've seen. So I think one of our responsibilities as a district is to really work with our teachers, our staff, our students, our parents on responsible use of technology, responsible use of social media, responsible use of artificial intelligence, so that it enhances our educational environments and it doesn't harm our educational environments and our children. Because I just think right now it's so easy to bully someone on social media because you don't have to be in front of them and talking to them, and it's easy for people to like things and share things, and it's a distraction. We know the research says that it's addictive, and I really do think that some of that is what's contributing to our children having anxiety and mental health conditions. So I guess that's one thing that I would really like us to delve into more as a school district. We do know that we do have a lot of resources available for kids and their parents, either through in-school or contracted counseling services. So it's not that our district isn't doing things, we are. I just, like Chris said, it's something that we need to keep in mind because it's not going down. So thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Patty.
One significant change I've observed in education is the increasing role of technology in learning. While digital tools, including artificial intelligence, offer incredible opportunities for personalized and authentic learning, they also bring challenges, such as technology addiction and the need for media literacy to critically evaluate information and images seen online. As a school board member, my vision is to ensure that technology is used intentionally and purposefully to support student growth while promoting balanced educational experiences. This means expanding personalized learning opportunities so students can engage with content in ways that fit their needs while also ensuring they experience authentic learning, hands-on projects, real-world problem solving, and connection to their communities. With the rise of AI-generated content, it is more important than ever to teach students media literacy skills, helping them critically evaluate digital information, identify misinformation, and analyze manipulated images. This skill set is essential for responsible digital citizenship and informed decision-making in today's world. Additionally, I would advocate for career education that helps students explore different pathways, including career and technical education, apprenticeships, and partnerships with local businesses and organizations. By promoting this balanced approach to education, one that includes time for collaboration, outdoor learning, and wellness, we can help students develop the skills they need for success while addressing the challenges of excessive screen time and digital dependency.
Thank you, Patty. Question 3. For this question, you will have 3 minutes for your response time. And please don't hesitate. If you'd like a question repeated, I'm happy to do so, and it will not count against your time. Our governor recently spoke at the Wisconsin State Education Convention in January. He explained, quote, "In 2024, we saw a record number of school referendums on the ballot, while we also saw an all-time high of voter approval of those referenda. Nearly 1/3 of them didn't pass. This isn't sustainable. It creates a system of winners and losers, and it puts a strain on local relationships. Districts shouldn't have to go to referendum every couple of years to ask their neighbors to raise their property taxes just to keep local schools afloat. Our kids deserve sustainable, meaningful funding that they can count on." End quote. If elected, one of your major responsibilities is budget responsibility. What is your plan for minimizing taxpayer burden while providing high-quality education? Lori.
On first, sorry. Wow, that's a big question. It boils down to every district has a strategic plan. We have to keep reassessing that plan, and part of that plan is what goes into budgeting. I think we need to be fiscally responsible to our taxpayers, because in reality, we can't just always go to the taxpayers to ask to pay for everything. So it may mean that we have to do a lot of discernment between needs and wants and set priorities. It may mean that there are times where we have to really tighten the budget strings and say no. We are very responsible in how we conduct our business and funding in our district. We have a very good plan for how we rotate and plan for expenses that we know are going to happen, whether it's roofs need replacing, HVAC needs replacing, floors, whatnot. And we do it on a rotating basis to assure that those bigger ticket items are spread out over time. But there's always unplanned things that come up. And when those things come up, our leadership team is amazing at going out, securing multiple bids, bringing it back to the board for shared decision making, for the board to discern what's going to be the best course of action for us to take, while keeping in mind how are we doing as far as budget goes. And again, as a school board member, yes, we set the budget, we approve items, but we also have to work collaboratively with our leadership team. And we are very fortunate to have an amazing person that does our financial. In fact, she just got recognized by the state, Ms. Julie Kelly, for really helping us figure out how to move things around so that we can make things work. But I think it starts with being strategic. It starts with planning, and it starts with having the foresight to understand what your needs are going to be, whether they're facility-based or whether they're educational-based. We had to put out a bunch of money last year for a new ELA program because Act 20 required us to pick from a list of options, and that was not a planned expense. And yet we were able to be nimble enough to vet, pilot, and implement a program within a year, again, because we have amazing staff, teachers, and leadership to do that. But I don't necessarily think that money is always the answer to how you fix problems, but we tend to want to think of it in that way. I think we just need to be more creative in how we utilize our funds, how we plan for our funds, how we partner with our community, how we engage the community and businesses to provide learning experiences, to help with co-sponsorships and funding. So we just have to be able to look beyond just a referendum to solve our problems and live within our means, all right? And I mean, I'm not going to spend all my money in my budget. I don't want to spend someone else's.
Thank you, Lori. Patty.
Providing a high-quality education and being fiscally responsible are not opposing goals. They go hand in hand. A strong school system strengthens the entire community, attracting families, supporting local businesses, and increasing property values. As a school board member, my approach would be to make strategic, data-driven decisions that maximize resources while ensuring students receive the education they deserve. Balancing these priorities requires transparency, long-term planning, and open communication with the community. It means focusing on high-impact investments like effective instructional practices, technology integration, and student support services, while carefully evaluating spending to ensure efficiency. It also means seeking alternative funding sources such as grants and partnerships to reduce the burden on local taxpayers. I believe in responsible stewardship of taxpayer dollars, but I also believe that cutting corners in education comes at a much higher cost down the road. By making informed, forward-thinking decisions, we can maintain strong, sustainable school system that benefits students, families, and the entire community. To take these proactive and strategic approaches, balancing fiscal responsibility with the need to provide this high-quality education, we could prioritize student-centered investments, ensure that funding directly supports academic achievement, technology integration, and student well-being. Every budget decision should be made with the question, how does this benefit student learning? Second, we have to seek alternative funding sources, including grants, community partnerships, and state and federal programs to supplement local taxpayer contributions. Expanding these opportunities can help alleviate budget constraints while still meeting student needs. Third, fiscal responsibility and efficiency should guide decision-making. This means regularly reviewing spending, identifying cost-saving opportunities, and ensuring that resources are being used effectively without compromising educational quality. Finally, districts must engage the community in the budgeting process, ensuring that stakeholders, families, educators, and taxpayers understand how funding decisions are made and have a voice in shaping priorities. A strong, well-managed budget is not just about numbers. It's about making sure every dollar supports student success and everyone has a voice. Additionally, I would advocate for working with state and local leaders to push for more sustainable school funding models, specifically advocating at the state level for a higher rate of repayment on special education services. I know that's something that the district and the board have been talking about for a while. Also, supporting efforts to reform outdated funding formulas to ensure equity for all students, especially in our district. And then just making sure we prioritize our efficiency. The board does a great job of doing the zero budget already, but making sure that we use those funds, always going back to that student-centered approach.
Thank you. Chris.
Okay, I'm just double checking here. So plan A, plan B, and plan C. Got it. Okay. A lot of what Lori and Patty said, I totally 100% agree with. They kind of stole my thunder being third on the way with that. But at the same time, it's important to realize that when you look at our school district, we're doing pretty damn good. In regards to cost saving and fiscal responsibility and financial responsibility for that matter to all the taxpayers out there. Our tax levy has gone down again for I believe the 12th consecutive year, maybe 13th in that regard. But when you look at other school districts in surrounding areas such as Racine, Kenosha, and even Kettle Moraine for that matter, they're asking for millions and millions of dollars to cover offsetting costs in the next 7 years. And they cannot get them passed because the community members don't have transparency and they don't understand what is going on. Our school board does an extremely great job working with other community members and parents for that matter, and city government officials to talk about these things and how certain referendums, if it will benefit us and save us money in the long run moving forward, it will expand and be better for all of us. For example, we just passed 2 unbelievable referendums over the past decade, creating an unbelievable new middle school, Muskego Lakes, renovating Lake Nanoon for passionate projects such as that. And the high school has been able to expand their research and creativity with the STEM labs as well as the new athletic facility that's open to the community. So having community responsibility related to that and showing different avenues where we can receive more funding in different areas has been beneficial. There's always opportunities for growth in that matter, so we don't have to keep going to referendum. We will continually strive for that. As school board member, looking at the data and really showing where certain things we can improve upon is going to be relevant to us related to that. Having a strategic plan, talking with taxpayers on a regular basis in regards to it is going to be beneficial because ultimately down the line, we don't want taxpayers to foot the bill if we don't have to. We want to keep everything stable and negotiable for that end. We'll continue to look at new bids, some local area bids, because ultimately we want to keep certain bids local when we're building facilities moving forward. And honestly, we have local businesses that want to continually sponsor certain events and certain opportunities with us that we can actually utilize moving forward in the state budgeting, seeing representatives related to that. Ultimately, down the line, we're doing great, and we need to continue to do that moving forward.
All right. Question 4. You will have 2 minutes for this question. One of the major responsibilities of a school board member is balancing board administrator relations. Simply put, the school board determines what needs to happen, and the district administrator and staff determine how to make it happen. Though you will not be involved in the day-to-day operations of the school, what is your strategy for maintaining these relations? Patty. Time has started.
Every level of instructional leadership has a different role to play: parent, educator, administrator, and school board. When we talk about the difference between those, the board sits at the top to make decisions about strategy, to make long-term plans, to make budgeting decisions. We also have the layer of administration of the superintendent. The superintendent then helps to enact those plans while working with principals, while working with instructional coaches, while working with assistant superintendents. We then continue down, and no one job is more important than the other. When you have an ecosystem such as a school district, every role is important, from the teachers who are in the classrooms every day, to the people helping the teachers, to the ladies and gentlemen that are cleaning the hallways, the people serving the food. Every one of those roles is an opportunity for creating relationships with students, which I will continue to say is the most important piece. So when we talk about those relationships as a school board, I think it's important to not only recognize that we say we're a district of choice for teachers and we're a district of choice for people to live here and come here. That's because we hire great people. And one of the jobs of the school board is to facilitate opportunities for those great people to do great things, to trust those leaders, to trust those teachers, to trust those administrators who are excellent at their jobs, and be able to help them move forward. And obviously, as a school board member, right, there are tough decisions and there are strategies, and we talked about budget questions, right? There's always going to be things that are going to have to be hard decisions, hard conversations. But the main strategy for being able to have those hard conversations is to have those relationships. I think one of the things on the board is continuing to have conversations with other people who don't necessarily agree with you. And that's part of those honest conversations, helps to build that trust and helps to move that strategic plan forward.
Thank you, Patty. Chris.
Okay. As a school board member, we look at the bigger picture. We take a look at what our current needs are, and then we implement certain things that our superintendent and our principals need to maintain moving forward. But at the same time, we are also listeners. So while we don't make any decisions, on a whim or a rash, we need to listen to not only our parents, but we need to listen to our teachers and what's going to make them benefit professional and give them the development that they need to ensure that our students are getting the best education possible. Now, we do have to make difficult decisions in regards to that, but some of those difficult decisions are calculated, meaning that we look at all the data, we look at all transparency related to that, and more importantly, we listen to other members to see where things can come up and where we can make improvements on. We're not going to be able to give everybody what they want, but we can help give them to things that we need to act responsible on a regular basis. And part of our role is to collaborate as well. We need to continue to collaborate with not only their teachers and our superintendent and other school board members, as I just talked about, but we have to talk to other community members outside of our district to find out what they've been struggling with and what's making their tick, because it's always good to take a look at certain ideas moving forward, because what might work in one school district may not work for us, but what's not working for them, then we know that it won't work for us either. So keeping open line of communication and working collaboratively within other school systems does benefit all of us down the line.
Thank you, Chris. Lori.
So I guess my response would be communication, communication, communication. And then when you think you're done, you communicate some more. The bottom line is we hire the superintendent, and then and we evaluate their performance, and the superintendent is the person who hires their leadership team and oversees leadership and all the employees. But it's not we're in one room doing one thing and they're in another doing another. Everything we do is collaborative. We work closely together with our administrative team. And then as we're looking at the strategic plan, because obviously we want to meet and achieve the goals that we set in our strategic plan. So there's got to be that ongoing assessment and adjustment and communication. We also create committees with board members who are on the different committees to address different areas of business, of policy, of education, of curriculum, so that we can also invite the voices of our constituents who elect us, so our public can have a say in our discussions at the committee level. And then we bring back those ideas as they percolate back up, and we suggest things, we recommend things. But again, at least in our district, I guess, again, we're very fortunate that it's a very collaborative, shared decision-making that we do because we respect and trust each other, and we know that together we're stronger. And the more we can collaborate and the more we can work as a team, the better we'll be overall to meet the educational needs of our students. So something that Patty had said is so true, is that everything that we do we need to ask, how is this going to help our students? How is this going to make our educational practices and environments better? And we can't make those decisions solely as a board. We need the expertise of the other leaders within the academic world to do that. So again, communication, communication, communication.
Thank you, Lori. I'd like to offer everyone a very brief interlude, approximately 2 to 3 minutes. Please use this as an opportunity to take a sip of water, use the restroom, stretch your legs. We'll be right back. Question 5. You will have 3 minutes to respond to this question. Wisconsin's state superintendent has acknowledged the hard work school board members put in when it comes to helping their districts meet the challenges they face. Many districts have needed to go to referendum. She asserted that it is her and everyone at the Department of Public Instruction's intention to take some of the financial burden off of districts so that they don't have to go to referendum so often. In the upcoming biennial budget request to the governor, one item being proposed is direct support for mental health, with a minimum of $100 per student and $100,000 per school district, as well as expanding the range of staff that can provide those services. The governor said, quote, "We're going to keep working to increase funding with about $300 million of investments in school-based mental health services," end quote. What challenges do you believe our district faces when it comes to meeting the needs of our students' mental health? Is the budget request to the governor enough? Is this the strategy you would have chosen? Why or why not? Do you have an innovative approach that you can share with our voters? Chris.
Kristen, can you repeat the last part, please?
Just the question at the end?
Yes.
What challenges do you believe our district faces when it comes to meeting the needs of our students' mental health? Is the budget request to the governor enough? Is this the strategy you would have chosen? Why or why not? Or do you have an innovative approach you can share with our voters?
Am I good to go? Okay. Mental health is extremely important. It has been a growing trend for many, many years now, and it's just been more so recently diagnosed in multiple different assets. I will not question what the governor is actually proposing, because it's not only the governor, it has to go through state senators, state assemblymen, and women to make sure that they can balance the budget in multiple different facets. So in regards to that, there's really nothing more we can say or do about it. You can raise funding for as much as humanly possible, and we would be very supportive of that. However, that would be a burden on taxpayers because they'd have to cover the entire state on multiple different levels. As a school board member, or candidate, I should say, I'm sorry, we need to serve as a resource for our students with mental health on a regular basis. We need to identify and guide families towards having opportunities to actually understand what is going on with the student's health in general. Teachers and the student services team at the high school, middle school, and elementary levels, they need to be trained and recognize certain distresses that might come up in our students. That being said, it's also important for family members to actually communicate with our particular teachers and our particular resources people to make sure that we have the ability to detect that. Another aspect too is we became very creative. We brought in Tito at the high school, and that is the first ever dog I ever heard of being a drug sniffing, drug detecting therapy dog. I will tell you that my sister has a service dog as well as a therapy dog that goes to the elementary schools on a regular basis. So we're coming up with new creative ideas to help students relieve some of their stress. Both those dogs are there for the ACTs, where it could be mentally stressed on anybody in that regard. So those little things can make bigger differences. Also, we could perform new extracurricular classes to help with the creativity to relieve some of the mental stress that's going on in mental health. Those are avenues that we can do while maintaining our budget on a regular basis, still providing the service needs that we have on a regular basis to our students.
That is the time. Thank you, Chris.
To be fair, that was still at 5 seconds when the bell rang.
My apologies. I would like to give you those 5 seconds back to finish. Please pardon me.
No worries. That was pretty much it.
Okay. Thank you, and respectfully, thank you. I do intend to provide a fair and balanced forum. Lori.
Well, I'm going to go back to something I said prior, and I don't think that money fixes everything. And I think in the case of, if you look at Wisconsin as a whole, there are districts that need money for mental health and for programming far more than others, not because we all don't have students that have mental health challenges. It's just some of us have better resources to manage it. But a couple of things that I think about is we need a collaboration with all of our stakeholders. And you know, we have parents who are stressed. We have a challenging economic environment, both parents working in a home, you know, kids come home to an empty house. There's just so many factors that contribute. Again, like I said, to me, social media and the having the constant access to cell phones throughout the day are certainly not helping. One thing I do know at our board meeting at Lakeview Elementary last month, all of us board members got this book called The Happiness Advantage, and it's about how being positive and framing your brain in a positive mindset makes you happier. I immediately read it because I love reading. And so much of it rings true. I'm a healthcare provider, and I find that my patients that do better are the ones that have social support. When I work in an interdisciplinary team, again, the ones that we're able to do the most for are the ones that can communicate, that are happy, and that have that support. So I think there are processes and ways that we could establish where we try to work with students on positive mindsets, where we try to help them frame things from what can I do versus what am I not doing, that we could work with them to make sure we do more outside things. It's happy and nice to be outside rather than always sitting in a classroom. What could we take outdoors? How could we tie learning in a science class or in a reading class and poetry with what we see in nature or what's going on? Because we know kids are happier when they're playing or when they're able to be outside. I think it would foster healthier habits for our students. Maybe like we do at Mill Valley, and I'm sure we do at other places where they grow their own food. And I know that there's different reasons why they do that, but wouldn't that be a great opportunity to teach kids how to plant and grow healthy vegetables and eat healthier? Because that all contributes to mental health and well-being. That's what I love about being on the board and being able to brainstorm with people. It's like the sky's the limit. You're only limited by your own blinders. But if you have more people that you can talk to, we probably could come up with some pretty cool things that we could do that help kids be able to express their creativity and feel like they're valued and have a say in how they're
That is
doing
the
things.
time.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lori. Patty.
Muskego, Norway schools, like many districts, faces challenges in meeting student mental health needs, including access to mental health professionals, increasing student stress and anxiety, and the need for proactive school-based support systems. While the proposed funding, $100 per student in a base of $100,000 per district, helps, it may not be enough to fully address the growing demand for mental health services within our schools. While I appreciate the DPI's effort to relieve the financial burden on districts, I would have preferred a more flexible and sustainable funding model that prioritizes long-term investments in school-based mental health staffing, guidance counselors, partnerships with local providers, and professional development for staff on trauma-informed practices. A one-size-fits-all approach may not fully align with the specific needs of Muskego, Norway students or schools. One innovative approach could be to expand access to in-school counseling services using teletherapy options for students who need additional support and embedding mental health education into our curriculum. We currently at the elementary level do Second Step, which is a social emotional learning course, which helps students with problem solving, interpersonal skills, communication skills, and that could be something that could be expanded into the upper grades. We could additionally strengthen partnerships with community organizations and families to help ensure a more comprehensive support network for our students. We have great programs, in birth through 3. And I think that it's so vital that we get our parents engaged and being able to collaborate with educators at that time. I think it would be awesome if we could create some kind of programming for those upper grades, those middle and upper grades, that also creates training and creates opportunities for grandparents as parents, for that, again, those family resources where they can come together, learn and grow together. By focusing on proactive and preventative strategies, I believe Muskego, Norway schools can better support student well-being and academic success and help students truly feel like they're part of the One Warrior family.
Thank you. Question 6. You will have 3 minutes to respond to this question. Recent updates to Title IX regulations from the U.S. Department of Education, along with legal challenges to those changes, have caused some confusion in Wisconsin school districts. On January 20th, 2025, President Trump issued an executive order defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government. President Trump ordered all agencies and departments within the executive branch to, quote, enforce all sex protective laws to promote the reality that there are two sexes, male and female, and that these sexes are not changeable and are grounded in fundamental and incontrovertible reality, end quote. The U.S. Department of Education and Office for Civil Rights must enforce Title IX consistent with President Trump's order. An institution that violates Title IX or its regulations may lose all federal funding. What challenges do you foresee with Title IX in our district? What is your plan to ensure we remain in compliance with Title IX regulation, ensure the protection of the students in our district, and maintain our federal funding? Lori.
Well, to be honest, in our district currently, we took out of our policies gender identity or gender identity. I'm sorry, mixing that up. Because we do believe that when it comes to, as a board and as a board, that biological males should not be participating in girls' sports. And I'm a healthcare provider, and you can change. You can take hormones, you can do whatever you want to change your gender, but you cannot change your genes. You cannot change your genetic makeup in who you are and what you've been. And this is not a thing about bullying, or it's not because we're discriminating. It's a protective, to protect our girls. And girls should have the ability to be able to be in a locker room, to be in a bathroom without having to worry. They should also be able to play sports without having to have a head injury or to lose their opportunity to get a scholarship or to win because they're being beat by biological males. So I think from a philosophical standpoint, we want to support kids that are going through any sort of confusion about who they are. I can't think of any teenager that doesn't go through confusing about who they are. And I thought when I was a kid growing up, I loved sports and I played with my brothers, but it didn't mean I wanted to be a boy. I just wanted to do things like they did. But now it seems like we tend to want to push kids one way or another, and I don't think that helps with mental health either. I think we've seen an increase in mental health and bullying as these things have become social issues, and that we see them more prevalently in our social media and in our communities. But I guess from a district standpoint, we are always willing to work with kids who need accommodations. We are always willing to do the best to make sure that they are on the path to strong mental health, as well as adjusting and being able to be in the educational environment and to learn and be free from pressures or anything that else might happen. But from a perspective of whether we're going to be in compliance with Title IX, I do not see that as an issue, because we do feel that we have to protect and make sure that. And the thing is, Title IX is so much bigger than this one issue, and yet it's the one issue that we seem to be focusing on and talking more about. The whole point of it was to protect women. And now it's become so confusing, like you said, that people really don't even know what it's about anymore. But that's what I would have to say about that.
Thank you, Lori. Patty.
As a school board member, my priority would be ensuring that all students feel safe, valued, and supported in our schools. The role of the board, obviously, is to create policies that foster an inclusive learning environment while respecting the perspectives of students, parents, and staff. I fully support clear, consistent anti-bullying policies and professional development for teachers to ensure that we meet all legal requirements. However, I feel like while the recent policy change has sparked debate, the removal of the gender identity from the harassment and discrimination policies, I feel like we have to align with best practices in student support while complying with state and federal guidelines. I think that becomes difficult when you have a legal block, right? When I was at the meeting when those decisions were made, and the response was from the superintendent was that it doesn't change the meaning of the policy, that we still want all students to succeed. And I believe that that's true, but I also fear for students who are facing bullying and harassment, or teachers who face bullying and harassment, that they don't have a legal recourse. So I think that there's a balance there that needs to happen, where we ensure that all students feel represented, all students and staff feel safe, and able to bring those concerns to the board. In terms of Title IX, and when we talk about federal funding, I believe that that's something that we obviously want to stay in compliance with. We want to be able to ensure that we have funding where we can ensure that programming can run. But I believe that schools, like libraries, are not just windows and doors, right? We should see ourselves, all students should see themselves represented through a mirror, and they should be able to see the experiences and see other people and other ways of living. And I think that our students are coming from Muskego, which is a great small city, but they don't all stay here. Some of them come back, but we have to prepare our students to exist in a world outside of Muskego and outside of Muskego High School, and to prepare them to be able to speak to people who don't think the way they think, or be able to interact with people who don't maybe live a lifestyle that they agree with. And I think that for me is where some of it gets a little bit gray area. We always want to be compliant, but we also need to ensure that every student feels supported, every student feels like they have a voice, and every student is part of that One Warrior family. And in order to do that, there needs to be more communication, more supportive opportunities for those students who have now been taken out of these policies as being protected from harassment and from being discriminated against.
Thank you, Patty. Chris.
This is a very difficult question. And the reason why it's difficult is because it involves multiple different things. It talks about gender, it talks about federal funding, it talks about being two sexes, it talks about safety, it talks about multiple different things. The purpose of Title IX was, as Lori said, was to protect women in going into higher educational institutions, and sports played an integral factor with it. Obviously, it has been changed and rewritten again recently. I cannot sit here and say where it'll be in 3 years after our term is done either. So the board has done an amazing job in making sure that the language is actually gender neutral as much as humanly possible, because of the simple fact is that it's ever evolving. Now, it does say there are two sexes, there's male and female, and that's done by design because of the simple fact is that we need to have safety in requirements in relation to that. The board is going to continue to evaluate this because we need to stay compliant for the federal funding that's going to be issued out. At the same time, it's also been through an executive order that Department of Education is going to be disbanded. So saying those things, we don't exactly know where we're going to end up in a year from now involving this. My priority would be to ensure that every student is safe. They feel comfortable going to school and making sure that when they go to a locker room, they feel safe. Those are things that I see that bring a value to the policy moving forward. It makes sense through regulations. It also makes sense through the executive orders being listed, but it's also making sure that we strike a balance in realizing that we have two sexes, and that's what the biological truth states, and that's what our federal government wants.
Thank you, Chris. Question 7. You will have 2 minutes for this question. Our district's eye on the goal, strategic planning goals for 2024 to 2025's vision, is to be the district of choice for southeastern Wisconsin for our students, staff, and community. One of the values highlighted with that vision is to, quote, attract, develop, and retain highly effective personnel, end quote. One of the important goals is highly effective personnel and expert teaching. What do you believe to be an essential component of attracting and maintaining the highest caliber of teaching staff in our district? How would you implement this? Patty.
That was a COVID moment of you're on mute. I think that Muskego already does a really great job of being a place where people want to come teach. And so, excuse me, to be the school of choice for teachers and to have those highly effective teachers, there are several things that the district does. There already is an on-staff health clinic, right? But making sure that we focus on academic excellence, we support school culture, and we build community trust are also things. So making sure that our teachers are respected. They are respected not just as employees of the district, but as experts in their field, that we take the time to build those relationships, that they are offered opportunities for growth within the district. They are offered opportunities to receive training, to receive specialization, that they're offered opportunities to continue to grow in their career how they would like to within the district instead of losing really highly qualified people to other districts. Those are all things that we can do as a district to really retain those teachers. So the other pieces, I think, are offering teachers really competitive salaries. I know that we work on doing that. I think it's going to be looking forward, like Chris was stating, we don't know how things are going to be with Act 10 and the possible repeal of Act 10. I think that we're going to see additional needs for staff and our ability to retain that highly qualified staff. One of the things we do as a community is we have great examples of resources that are available for housing, resources that are available for young families to move in. That always allows you to retain and attract really highly qualified educators as well.
Thank you, Patty. Chris.
For my job at Carthage, I actually work with multiple different students that are trying to become teachers. And I also work with alumni that decided to work at KUSD. And the reason why I bring that up is because recently, as of, believe it or not, today, I had an alumni come to me asking me, because she knew I was running for school board, when will you know if there's any positions available at Muskego? And I asked her why. She told me that we are a district of choice because of school safety, creativity with curriculums while maintaining the standards, showing our competitive salary, and providing professional development for anything that they want. And what I mean by anything that they want, if they want to develop their skill sets in communication, we can actually have access to taking an improv class to help with their communication assets. If they want to develop social skills soft skills in relation to anything, we provide that opportunity. In KUSD or Kenosha's Unified School District, they don't do that. Racine Unified School District, they don't do that. A lot of teachers start at those facilities. They want to end up here because they know they can work here for 30 years. That is showing how we have become a district of choice, how we continually have teachers really wanting to come here and beating down our doors at those schools to see when we can actually have those have opportunities make up. Now, we do have retention. We do have retention sometimes, but at the same time, we have a wait list to actually appease them and get those in the system.
Thank you, Chris. Lori.
So Muskego has been a top workplace for the past 8 years. And again, that speaks much to the environment and the positive environment in which our employees are able to come to work every day. Couple of things that were mentioned. We have a clinic that's self-sustaining. They can walk right in if needs be. We have the opportunity for being able to work out and use the facilities. We have amazing safety measures that Jeremiah has been working on with making sure that we have safe entrances, that we have cameras, that we can watch, that doors are alerted if something were to be left open or someone was to come in. As was also alluded to, I mean, our Tito made the front page of the Waukesha Freeman. He's such a cool dude, and he's like the favorite officer, and no offense to our SROs because they're great, but just having that work-life balance. Also, just thinking about it, when you don't have to spend money to recruit and to advertise and to do interviews, and then to keep someone for 1 or 2 years, then have to keep redoing that, costs money. And that is money that we're much better investing in professional development and in having that positive workspace. So retention is the best indicator of satisfaction. And when you have a district like ours that people are wanting to get into and can't because we don't have any openings, again, that speaks volume, and it shows that our staff and all are very happy with our working environment. So the only area I would say we could continue to do better in is with staff retention. So our teacher retention is high, our staff retention is not as high, and yet that's so critical because those are the individuals, especially working in special education, and those kids need more consistency than anything. But other than that, I think we do a fantastic job.
Thank you. Question 8. We're almost done. You're all doing great. Question 8. You will have 2 minutes for this question. There is a focus on improving student achievement and making sure graduates are ready for the real world. A priority area on Muskego, Norway's district report card is dedicated to on track to graduation. For the voters, this indicates how successfully students are progressing through completing their K through 12 education, combining scores for measures of both student engagement and achievement. For the 2023-2024 report card, our district's score was 94.2%, meaning we scored equal to or greater than 98.4% of districts in the state. With that being said, I'll ask you, in your view, does, quote, on track to graduation equate to ready for the real world? What do you believe is fundamental to ensuring graduates are really ready for the real world? Chris.
Does 94% equal being on track for graduation and being ready for the real world? No. And the reason why that is because we're always learning. We're effectively adult learners every day. Every day, we're learning something new on a regular basis. I do believe, though, that it prepares the students to be ready for critical decision-making possibilities. And what do I mean by that? They can go out and they can figure out how to, buy groceries. They do those things related to that. They can pick a college that they want to do, because part of going to college is actually becoming an adult, where you have to do adult-like things. So we need to possess those opportunities related to that. Academically, I can tell you right now, we are definitely on track with that. Or you can tell in multiple school board meetings I've been to, you can see the reading, writing, and arithmetic of our students has increased at all our schools, including the high school, including this. I also do believe on a personal level that college is not for everybody, and this is coming from a person that works in higher education. We have over a 90% positive outlook of all our senior graduates, where they're either going to a 4-year degree, they're getting their 2-year degree, they're going into the trades, they're going into military, they might go into the Peace Corps. Those are positive outcomes and meaningful employment. That is important for these students to have accomplished. So while I think it's not on track, it almost is kind of like a double entendre that we are on track. But at the same time, we need to focus and maintain the track influence to get that done.
Lori.
So, I'm so happy to see, and I actually was looking at the dashboard as well, and looking at our graduation rates, which are higher than the state average. But I think all of us know, especially when you work in higher education, that we get kids that are valedictorian of their class that need to take a remedial class in reading or writing. So graduation does not equate to readiness necessarily. However, just a few things to think about. Strong foundational education is the key to success in life, because we all know that if you can't learn to read by 3rd or 4th grade, then you can't read to learn, which is what you absolutely need to be able to do to be successful in life. So, preparing students for future careers, I think it's important that we look futuristically into, how can we use our facilities? How can we leverage our community partners to provide for authentic learning experiences and authentic assessment of learning? So my research and my background is in assessment, and I believe that we are doing some nice things in our district around assessment, like not just classes done, are you ready, but what did they actually learn, and where are the learning gaps, and how are we going to fill those? So I think a district that looks futuristically and that looks proactively at assuring that our students are learning and that they're able to apply, and that we're providing them with multiple opportunities via electives and college credits and potentially military or trades. Like, we've got a huge emphasis on the trades in this district, which is fantastic, because as Chris said, not every kid needs to go to college. Not every kid wants to go to college. And I think it's our role to educate them for life, to be able to be flexible, adaptable, because careers of today are not going to be careers of tomorrow. And as long as you have a strong foundational background, you will be fine.
Thank you, Lori. Patty.
Student achievement isn't just about test scores. Excuse me. It's about preparing young people with the knowledge, skills, and confidence to succeed in whatever path they choose. To truly support student success, schools must take a well-rounded approach that includes academic excellence, real-world experiences, and strong community partnerships. As a school, we need to ensure high-quality, engaging instruction that fosters critical thinking, problem-solving, and creativity. This means supporting teachers with professional development, innovative teaching strategies, and technology integration to enhance learning. We must expand hands-on real-world learning opportunities, including project-based learning, CTE, career and technical education, apprenticeships, and STEM initiatives. When students can connect their education to real-world applications, they are more engaged and better prepared for life after graduation. We have to support the whole child. Students need strong academic foundations, but they also need social and emotional learning, mental health resources, and access to extracurricular activities that help them build confidence and resilience. We also need community and business partnerships. They play a crucial role in preparing students for the future. We have to collaborate with local businesses, colleges, and organizations to continue to provide internships, and job shadowing experiences that give students a clear vision of their future possibilities. Additionally, financial literacy courses should be prioritized, making sure that students understand budgeting, credit, loans, and taxes before entering adulthood. We can also strengthen dual credit programs and advanced placement courses to provide students with college-level coursework, which will reduce the cost and time needed for higher education. Ultimately, our goal should be to offer multiple pathways, whether college, technical training, military service, or workforce entry, so that every graduate leaves Muskego, Norway, prepared for their next steps.
Thank you, Patty. Now it would be our pleasure to accept questions from the audience. I'm looking forward to some good ones. All right, we have 2 questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. Question 1. What does inclusion look like to you inside of our schools? Patty.
Inclusion is an interesting word because it means multiple things. So as somebody who has a master's degree in K-12 special education, inclusion is the idea that no matter where your student exists on the spectrum of having special needs or not having special needs, that they are a part of the classroom. And so that looks like supporting students, differentiation, having really strategic IEP goals where students can be in the classroom learning that grade level content as well as being supported with the supports that they need. I think that inclusion also is something else that has come to mean something very different. And I feel like it was spoken really well. I heard somebody say, when we talk about inclusion, we have to talk about what the opposite of inclusion is, which is exclusion. And so to me, inclusion in a classroom is the opposite of exclusion. All students feel welcome. All students feel like they're part of the curriculum. All students feel like they have a voice in the classroom and have a voice in that experience. And so I think when you have an inclusive classroom, you are pulling in the real world experiences, the lived experiences of the students that you are serving. And in that way, you create students who have a deep connection to the things that they are learning. To me, in a classroom, inclusion looks like respecting cultural differences. It looks like respecting differences in interests. It looks like respecting different ideas. I'm going to come back to the windows and mirrors metaphor again. In an inclusive classroom, and inclusion in a classroom means that students see themselves in the curriculum, but they're also able to experience the curriculum through the lens and experiences of people they haven't met, cultures they've never experienced on their own. And both of those things are important.
Thank you, Patty. Lori.
That way. So a couple of things that I was thinking about as I was jotting down here is we all deserve to be treated as unique individuals with dignity and respect. And to me, inclusion is everyone has a voice and everybody's perspectives and life are respected. And we need to include as far as like in discussions. And when I think about teaching, having been I hate to say it, but I've been actually in education for almost 40 years now. But a lot of times education and educators look at a bell curve. And in a bell curve, the majority of the people are going to fall in the middle, but you're always going to have some people trailing behind and some people ahead of the curve. And to me, inclusion is all of those. Instead of teaching to the middle, we're teaching to all. We're meeting each child where they are at and bringing them to where they need to be versus teaching them where we want them, because then you miss those kids that either need more or they need to be challenged more. So when every child has a say, has a voice, every child is expected to answer and contribute. Every child is met where they are at and brought along, which is one of the tenets of authentic assessment. We can again, that's dignity and respect. That's what everybody deserves. And I certainly am an advocate, not for just saying it, but we have to mentor it. We have to assess it. We have to make sure that our teachers and staff and other kids are also following along. And there has to be consequences of some sort for when there is that lack of respect. So to me, that's what I would say is I really think it equates to
Thank
assessment.
you, Lori. Chris?
I think Patty and Lori had the best line so far when it comes to that, where everybody has a voice and everybody respects one another. I also believe that inclusion involves hearing everybody's ideas and collaborating together on them. It's funny, my son, Colton, sometimes he feels left out. And we've had conversations about certain things and how he can improve upon certain attributes with it. He's very much a follower. He doesn't like going up and being a leader. And we came up with different ideas for him to actually be unique. And he found a pocket of friends that include him on a regular basis. And they talk about different things and they talk about certain things. And that group got even bigger and that group got even bigger. It's amazing to where how one unique individual feels left out and somebody comes in and helps include them into their own group and the group expands to something great. That to me is inclusion, because now everybody is learning from one another, collaborating with each other, respecting one another, and showing love and creativity to where all the students are thinking not alike, but individually and uniquely, to where they come up with their new ideas and everything else in between to make sure that everything goes well. And the term respect comes into play. They all respect each other, they all understand what's going on, and they all look out for each other. That's what it means to me.
Thank you, Chris. The final question, again, you have 2 minutes for your response. Do you see it as dangerous or beneficial to disband the Department of Education? Chris.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Yes. Do you see it as dangerous or beneficial to disband the Department of Education?
You said dangerous or official?
Beneficial.
Thank you.
Dangerous or beneficial to disband the Department of Education?
Wow, that is a very difficult question. It's beneficial. Sometimes what needs to happen is if something has not been successful for a number of years, sometimes you need a pause and a reset button. The Department of Education has done marvelous things. However, it has not accomplished the goal of what it was set out to be. Students, and I can speak full candidly about this, colleges are becoming more and more unaffordable. And luckily at Carthage, we found different avenues and pathways for students to make it more affordable to them. But at the same time, when we are $1 trillion in student loan debt, that has been caused by it's been caused by the Department of Education, sometimes you need to take a good hard look at it and make a reset and see how it can be beneficial. Now, saying that, different parts of the U.S. Department of Education are going to go in different ballots throughout the government. So it's not going away, just the department and certain attributes are going away with it. But I do believe that it's important to know the reason why it was going to be done was because eventually what I can see happening is they're going to bring it back and they're going to make it better than ever and make it more inclusive for all college students and all local and all high school students and other school districts throughout the entire country to make it more opportunistic so they can be more creative with their federal for funding and support our students in very opportune ways.
Thank you, Chris. Patty.
I believe disbanding the Department of Education would be a step in the wrong direction. While it's fair to examine how much influence the federal government should have, eliminating the department altogether risks undermining critical supports that ensure equity, access, and accountability in our schools. The department plays an important role in protecting student civil rights, distributing federal funding, and supporting students with disabilities, low-income backgrounds, and other unique needs. It also helps set nationwide standards for data and research, which districts use to improve outcomes. That said, there's always room for improvement. I support reforms that reduce unnecessary bureaucracy and give local communities more flexibility while still holding the system accountable for fairness, transparency, and student success. I believe we should be working to strengthen education from the ground up, not tearing down the structures that help ensure every student, no matter their zip code, has the opportunity to thrive. When Congress created the department in 1979, the purpose was to strengthen the federal commitment to ensuring access to equal education opportunity for every individual, to supplement and complement the efforts of the states, so that local school systems and the private sector, public and private education institutions could improve on the quality of education, to encourage the increased involvement of the public, parents and students in federal education programs. So for me, the idea of dismantling the department without a clear plan doesn't make sense. I believe that it's a step in the wrong direction.
Thank you, Patty. Lori.
I believe that dismantling the Department of Education will, in the long run, be beneficial for our states. Some of the prime functions that are really critical, like special education funding, the department that collects all, the statistical data and information that gets pushed out to the states and that we look at federally, as well as Pell Grants, which help to support those who are in need, are all going to be placed within another department. And the reason I say that is I believe that a state can be much more nimble and strategic in how it spends its money, and it can be much more responsive to the individual needs of individual districts. Like I said previously, we may or may not need as much of whatever, but a state can do that much more nimbly and with much more flexibility than a large organization. Currently, we elect our representatives. We elect our superintendent of the DPI. We do not elect anybody in the Department of Education. It's a bloated bureaucracy that has so much overhead, so much salary, so much building expenses, and we don't even know where half the money is going that's being used. I just feel that we could, if we got money that came to the states, and the states had the ability to distribute that money as it was needed by people who are elected by the people, there would be higher accountability, and we would, as districts and as citizens of the state of Wisconsin, we would have more say in how that money is utilized. And to me, everything is better locally than it is federally. And so again, I think that in the long run, it'll be beneficial, even though there'll be a lot of growing pains in the process.
Thank you, Lori. We will move on to our closing comments for tonight. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. This is your opportunity to speak directly to the voters with a personal summary of your views. Patty.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak directly with you, the voters of the Muskego Norway School District. I'm running for the school board because I believe in our community's strength, the potential of our students, and the power of transparent, collaborative leadership. Throughout my campaign, I have shared my vision for a district that is both forward-thinking and deeply rooted in our community's values. I'm committed to making data-driven decisions that help us forecast future needs, allocate resources wisely, and continuously improve our educational programs. I envision a district where every student has access to a safe, supportive, and innovative learning environment, one that not only meets today's academic challenges, but also prepares them for the jobs and opportunities of tomorrow. I also recognize the importance of a curriculum that evolves with our rapidly changing world. By integrating digital literacy, technology, and STEAM-focused learning, we will empower our students to be creators and innovators. I stand for equipping our teachers with the best tools and professional developments so that they can inspire and support our students every day. Safety and mental health and a nurturing educational climate are at the heart of the district's mission. I will work tirelessly to ensure that every policy enacted, from anti-bullying measures to initiatives addressing vaping and student well-being, reflects our commitment to a safe and inclusive environment. Our educators, parents, and community members deserve nothing less than our full support and engagement. Fiscal responsibility is also a cornerstone of my vision. I'm committed to balancing the budget wisely while making strategic investments in facilities, technology, and programs. Through diversified funding strategies and transparent financial management, we can continue to build an educational legacy that benefits all students now and for generations to come. In closing, my commitment to you is simple. I will serve with integrity, listen with empathy, and work collaboratively with all stakeholders to ensure our district remains a place where every student can thrive. I ask for your support so that together we can create an even brighter future for our community and our children. Thank you for your trust and for the opportunity to serve as your voice on the school board.
Thank you, Patty. Lori.
A good friend and author wrote a book titled Opportunity Favors the Prepared. I want to continue to be a part of a team that works hard to prepare our students, your children, for any and all opportunities that may come their way in life. Kids and adults may choose all sorts of different paths in life to bring them happiness and fulfillment, but I want to feel confident that when our students leave our hallowed halls, that they are ready for whatever path they choose so that they can flourish. Grow where you are planted is an inspirational phrase and the perfect metaphor for each unique child in a healthy educational environment. Each seed needs the right soil with the right plant at the right time to flourish. Children are like seeds. They need the right environment with the right interventions at the right time to grow and flourish. I want to be involved in nourishing each child according to their needs. We are blessed in the Muskego Norway School District community with caring and compassionate administrators, teachers, staff, school resource officers, Tito of course, and law enforcement and other supportive community members. Where else can you go and see your school motto on the side of your police vehicles, one warrior? Together, we can keep our district strong and growing. In summary, if we can meet our children where they're at versus where we want them to be, if we can apply methods of authentic assessment to determine learning and learning needs, if we can enhance our special education programs for our children and their parents, we can close the achievement gaps and we can prepare our children for the life's opportunities to build better lives. Our children are our future, and we have to make the best investment in their education.
Thank you, Lori. Chris?
Thank you for everybody that came. I know it was not exactly something fun you wanted to do during spring break on a Wednesday night. And to everybody watching live, thank you so much. I'm running for school board because I believe in academic excellence, fiscal responsibility, parental educational rights, and support for our teachers. As a father of 2 young children and uncle of 2 young nieces, I have a vested interest in ensuring that every student receives a quality education and one that prepares them not just for tests, but real life success in finding meaningful employment. That means we need to focus on the fundamentals: reading, writing, math, history, and science. and we need to have it taught at the highest academic standards. We're doing a good chunk of that now, but we always can be doing better. Students deserve, and quite frankly, want to be challenged. That is why I believe in high expectations, strong work ethic, and building confidence in each individual kid for success. Parents, we play a vital role in being their voice as a children in learning, and I will listen to you to be that voice if you can't get it through. I will make sure that our teachers are heard involving multiple different assets. I will be a community advocate and steward to make sure that our money is spent wisely, not wastefully. And I also firmly believe that we have the core foundation to not only be the district of choice, but the best school of choice and this best school in the state. Together, we are one warrior, and that's why I love your support.
Thank you, Chris. In our closing remarks this evening, I would like to say thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight. Congratulations to each of the candidates for their civic awareness, passion and dedication to public education, and willingness to run for a school board seat. This is not easy to sit up here, and so thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us tonight. Hearing from you is invaluable to our voters. This short time together was important in helping our voters be well informed. Once again, thank you to the mayor's office, to their technical team, and to all the staff at Muskego City Hall. We know tonight was possible because of their dedication and hard work for our community. To those listening and watching from home, thank you for sharing your time with us. Please vote. Your voice makes all the difference in our community. Good night from the candidates and from Muskego Women's Club.